Welcome back to 12 Talk Podcast. My name's Josh, and as always, with me is my podcasting partner in crime, Mitch.
Hello.
We were away last week. I can assure you it wasn't the fact that it was a loss, it was the fact that both Mitch and I were ill. I was bedridden for like 2.5 days, and then Mitch had it as well, and then my wife had it. So, yeah. On the plus side, we get to come back and talk about a win.
It's something.
So, yeah, it is. Damn right it is. And as always, Mitch and I are going to be going through such things as our highlights of the game. We'll have a little talk about how we felt about it overall, our highlights and our winners and losers. And you guys can join in as well. Pop anything that you want to say in the comments. It's only Mitch and I tonight. So we are going to try to get through your comments and have you guys be part of this show with us as much as possible. But Mitch, shall we just hit the theme tune and then we'll catch up?
Let's get into it.
Still hits the right spot, that intro. Absolutely love the music. Thanks to everyone who's starting to join us. We really do appreciate it. Obviously, we know when the YouTube algorithm gets all out of whack when you don't post for a week. So we were getting out to people. We might not be getting out to as many, so feel free to share this. It really helps us. And also, if you are watching, hit the thumbs up button. Mitch, how are you feeling now, dude? Better?
Yeah, just about. I mean, I had a lot going on last week, but I felt like I didn't really have the time to fully embrace my man flu with everything that was going on. It was like I couldn't dare just be sick for a day. I had to just keep showing up. So yeah, I kind of I feel like I haven't really properly recovered from it, even though I can actually breathe again, which is nice. But yeah, no, exhausting week actually.
Yeah, I do. We don't have to go into it on here, but yeah, I feel your pain. Yeah, me, I was just struck down with le man flu, bedridden, aches, pains, hot and cold sweats. It was lovely. And then as soon as I got better, my wife got it. So, so yeah, timing and energy was at an all-time low last week, and it didn't help, obviously, with the Seahawks losing such a close game. I really wish we could have discussed that because we had a fantastic guest lined up, but we'll get him on in another couple of pods. Shall we start talking about this Titans game? Now, it's one of those where I'm like, a win's a win. And I've said this before, but it didn't feel like a convincing win, especially in that second half. I don't know if it's just me.
No, for me it did. I feel a little bit like we've got to get a little bit used to some points of difference in comparison to previous seasons. I think we've already seen games this year where we've kind of blown teams away, and we've been able to afford to take our foot off the gas a bit. When you look at the way that we approached point scoring in the second half, the ball didn't travel through the air as much. It was very much right, we'll keep it on the ground now. We'll focus on the run game. We'll give Ken some carries. It felt very much like an exercise in just seeing out the game and controlling it. And there was a garbage time score in there and things that made it look closer. I think what really makes it feel that way for you, Josh, and it does for me as well sometimes, is when you're blowing a team away in the first half, you like to think, how many can we score over? Like, what's the score going to be by the end of the game? And sometimes you only score another 7 or 10 points because you're not throwing 60-yard bombs anymore. It's ground and pound. And if you have a 3 and out, sticking true to that, fine. Then punt well and, make them cover the whole field. That's the arm's length we held the opponent at. But it's not the 40-point win or the 50-point win or the 200-yard game for JSN or the 4 touchdown game that Darnold could have. All of those things, if we wanted them, we could have had. Genuinely. It was that easy. We could have had whatever we wanted. And what did we choose? A healthy roster, control of the game, and trying to make sure Darnold didn't throw an interception in this game. It was. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's the approach that they valued the most in that second half.
I do get it, and I can fully appreciate where in the first half, when you showed that much dominance, the second half you'll pull some starters. I mean, I can imagine the conversation between Mike Mack and Kubiak being, look, that first half has shown what we can do. For the second half, let's get back to our philosophy and let's run this ball. Let's really try and build up some traction on that. I completely get it. I do. But I also really want a ruthless attitude of, right, foot to the throat time, guys. Let's really just let's show the league what we can do. And I think the scoreline flattered the Titans, especially as you've got to think 6 of those points came from a punt return, which we'll get onto after, because it sort of ground my gears a little bit. But yeah, I felt underwhelmed, and I don't know why, because like I said, a win's a win. But maybe I'm just expecting too much.
I think for me, one of the disappointments, and this is me being very greedy, I think we waited for quite a long time for the Seahawks team to be legit front to back, not just last year we got a good defense, or last year we had a really good offense, or the coordinator's really good and he gets the best out of this QB, or it's not like a compartmental success this year. It feels like it's an overall success. Everything seems to be ticking at the same time, or certainly in some games or some quarters it feels like that. I think you almost want to see the stat sheet and the individual player returns. We want to see a Ken Walker 100-yard running game with 2 touchdowns, or we want to see the red zone really efficient. We just want to see all these things, but we're not going to get it all in every game.
Maybe I'm just being greedy. I mean Ken Walker, in all fairness, he had 100 yards collectively, 101. Yeah. So it was one of his better games this season. I still think he was caught short a couple of times, but obviously we'll get through to that. I just think it was just an odd game to watch. I think I expected so much from it, and the first half delivered it, and the second half just delivered so little that I put my notepad down and stopped writing notes, apart from some highlight plays. But odd one. I genuinely thought that we would use this as something to just sort of stamp some dominance rather than a glorified practice in the second half.
I mean, if we're going to start stamping dominance, the next 2 games are the ones where you really want to be doing that. 2 NFC opponents. I think it's the Vikings next week and then the Falcons. Is that right? Vikings, Falcons?
Yeah, I think so.
Weeks in a row.
So double check.
Yeah, so correct us in the chat if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's our next 2 opponents, and they're both NFC opponents. And when you look at the fact that we've already lost 2 divisional games, and we lost against the Bucks, we've got 3 NFC losses. So now's the time to really make some statement wins, put some statement wins together. That's absolutely what I think is now important. You look at what's going to be really important for this year. It's not how much we beat, the whipping boys, the Titans by. It will be, well, did you win your NFC matchups? Did you win your divisional matchups? What was your standing within your division? Okay, you made it to the playoffs, but what was your seeding? Like, these are the things now that we should be looking at. This is the next echelon of success. Putting up a ton of points against the Titans and losing one of those divisional games, not divisional, conference games, over the next 2 weeks. Do you see what I mean? Like,
stop talking sense to me. Stop. Let me be emotional. I get it. I really do. It's I think it's the fact that I found myself bored in the second half, that got my logical brain just left my body, and the emotional part took over. Where like I've coached rugby teams where foot to the throat style, we've won by over 100 points to nil, because I went, this isn't kids rugby, this isn't any of that. We keep going for the full 80 minutes, so we're just going to keep hammering it. Because from a team point of view, your morale goes right the way up to go, look what we can compete with, look what we can do, regardless of what team it is. If the next team we play is a little bit better, then it's a sliding scale. The team gets better, the score goes down, but then you end up meeting in the middle at the right time, where it then becomes a slugfest with people. I mean, when you look at our schedule now, as people have rightly pointed out, Vikings, Falcons, Colts, Rams, Panthers, Niners. That's the regular season done. We should be able to put something up on the Vikings. The Falcons just can't piece anything together. Now they've got Kirk Cousins. The Colts will be a challenge if they come and play. The Rams are going to be a challenge if they come and play. Panthers are resurgent. And then we've got the Niners to finish the regular season. I would have used this game to whip somebody, put as many points on the board, and then when I'm comfortable, I'd start bringing out some of my starters that were essential. And then you look at what the Vikings next week or this week, team gets better, scoreline will go down, but we still win. And then you've got the Falcons, about the same as the Vikings, score might go down, and then you get to the Colts where you're hitting that mark where you're like, we can put points on teams. We're supremely confident because we put so many points on teams and made such a statement that then we can go in there and win, because we'll have the wind up us, and we'll really think that we can boss this division and boss that team. But that's just me. It's just me.
Yeah. It's taking every fiber of my being to not say, yeah, but it's the Titans, because I hate it. I think it's lazy when people go, oh yeah, you might have won, but it was only this team, because then you go and beat someone, worthwhile, and there's another excuse, and it's like you can only beat the players that are on you only beat the teams that are on your schedule, and the Titans, they had some great moments, and Jonas has just put in the chat there about how well Ward played with some of those miracle plays and fourth downs, and made some really good plays. It's just you've got to look at the longevity of the season and the health of the roster, and you need to look at situational football. It's a great opportunity to practice running down the clock in the fourth quarter, and can we go and score a touchdown just 90% of the plays being runs? Yes, we can. That for me is it's like you've got to have instances throughout your season where you've ground out those situational things. If we keep blowing out these teams and not adjusting our approach to try and do these things, you're going to get to a situation where you need it, and you've not done it all year. We've already blown teams out, put up 40 points. We've done that. Okay, well, let's spend the second half running the ball.
I know, and I get it. And Gary put this up in the chat as well. Don't forget, this is Kubiak's first year, and it takes time to install the offense, plus how well the O-line has improved. I get it, and I get what you're saying. And that second half, like I said, it can be that whole, let's use this to get our run game going and start to figure out where we need to be for the latter half of the season. I do completely get it. But I just want to see us kick someone in the crotch, to be honest. That's
all right, let's make it the Rams of the 49ers.
Okay, fine with me. If we can go for that, I'm good with it. I mean, so general thoughts on this, my feelings. Let's say this is the feelings part of the pod before we get into the stats. Win's a win, slightly underwhelmed. There are work-ons, especially in special teams, but we'll get to that. Can we just say as well, Yannick put it there, Cam Ward, he made some outstanding plays. So there was a stat that came out today that we had 40 QB pressures in that game, which is an NFL record. I think Jonas put it in the Discord. So an NFL record in pressures. And how many sacks did we get? 4. So out of 40 pressures, we got home 10% of the time. Now, think back to that game and how much of that was Cam Ward being able to navigate the pressure, get out of the pocket. Some of his rollouts I thought were absolutely superb. And he did his throwing game, in my opinion, didn't really get going until, someone I'll talk about later, Xavier Restrepo came in and he was able to find him. I thought Cam Ward seems to be one of those QBs that I think they might have said on the broadcast. Oh, PFF corrected it to 42 pressures. Thank you very much, Jonas. So that's a league record, 42 pressures in a game. Ridiculous. But Cam Ward, I was skeptical about him being drafted number 1. But seeing him last night, I thought that if that young man deals with pressure like that from a D-line and the disguised pressures that we can bring, and still only get sacked 4 times in a game, more power to him. Because I can guarantee if that was Geno Smith in that pocket, we'd be looking at double sacks there, like double digits. But anyway, let's talk about the Titans. I'll move on to a Titan after. Shall we have a look at our highlights, Mitch?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you want to kick us off? What was your? We'll have a couple of highlights each. It's only me and you today, mate. Do you want to kick us off with your first highlight?
Yeah, I mean, there's one clear highlight reel worthy play, isn't there, in the entire game that stands out above all others, and it was the 63-yard touchdown pass to JSN. And what I love is it's not necessarily about that throw and that touchdown. It's more about what Darnold's doing with JSN. That there is a clear recognition that there are certain players covering JSN that Darnold just goes, nope, that is not a matchup. and there's a serious, it's often safeties. Yeah, he knows, and it probably extends to some DBs and the kind of DBs they are as well. But he already knows JSN's got the beating of his man, and just trusts that he'll be able to slot a ball to him. That has become quite a theme this year. The confidence and the repetitive nature of how often he goes there. So that was a highlight in the game. It showed that he can hit JSN at will with whatever pass he wants to, whenever he wants. And it was a bit of a scary moment for them. I think they realized very quickly there what the rest of the league's been seeing when that happened. It was just hard to stop.
Absolute 63-yard bomb as well. That it wasn't just sort of a clean catch. There was pressure, and he was able to navigate that so well. I mean, I spent a lot of yesterday's game watching JSN at the line of scrimmage and how he separates. And it is so Doug Baldwin-esque that it gets me excited for his future even more than what we're seeing now. Just the short area speed and the kick out with what sort of a 2-step, and he's gone. I would hate to be facing him in man coverage, because there's going to be times where there's going to be DBs, anyone who's trying to mark him in man, who they will just end up looking silly. Their feet will get trapped under him. They'll slip over, and he'll just end up walking past. I mean, you saw that there was a highlight of him at Ohio State doing it to someone, where he literally put a little 1-2 juke move on them. They slipped over. He didn't get the ball, but then he just stood there like, come on, dude. Never mind. But that was a huge highlight.
What about you?
My first one was, this wasn't necessarily, it links to a play, but it was the commentators are now referring to our 1-yard tush push as the barnyard as well, which I absolutely loved. But the big highlight from it was the fact that AJ Barner managed to garner an offsides penalty with just his cadence. People are that worried about him making that yard which, I mean, what his success rate is something like, it's in the 90s, isn't it? He's only had sort of one.
Yeah, it's like 92% or something, I think.
Yeah. But now you've got people that are jumping the snap, just trying desperately to stop him going under, getting over, and that was brilliant to see. I mean, he turned around and even he had a smile on his face, like, I can't believe I made them do that. That was a massive highlight for me, because that shows it's like the dominance that everyone hates to see from the Eagles with the tush push, where everyone does the eye roll and like, oh God, they're doing it again. But it shows that we have that type of dominance with the barnyard, that teams now think the only way they can do it is to try and preempt the snap and hopefully get off at the same time the ball snaps. That was a massive highlight for me, because just AJ Barner just doing bits at the QB position.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's being utilised in a really good bunch of ways. Like he's got so much value to this team as a receiving tight end, as a blocking tight end. You know, he's got value in those short yard situations, and formerly very important to us on special teams as well. He's just always found a way to be of huge value to this team, and it's just nice now that he's of huge value to the team as a starting tight end and receiving weapon. He deserves that. He's earned that. So yeah. You want my next highlight?
Yeah, go on.
That's a very, very memorable Tank Lawrence tackle for a loss on a running back play. I think it was like an end around, and he just read it. He just read it. He was just there, and he kind of waited just around the corner until just so that the running back would fully commit to that end around, and then just popped out and blew him up for like a 4-yard loss. And it, to me, just showed the confidence that he has in his ability setting the edge. Like, he didn't just sort of commit to it. He knew it was happening. He read the play. He didn't sort of shoot straight around the corner, because the running back could have doubled back and found another crease. Instead, he waited till he was fully committed to it, and then went, no, not today. And it was great. And it just, like I say, it just shows the confidence in the scheme and the specialists that we have, and the difference makers, and that veteran nous as well, not to sort of jump that play too early.
Yeah, just the timing on it was brilliant. I mean, to be honest, I think from our sacks yesterday, 3 of them came from the D-line. You know, the veteran nous, the timing on them all, and I think Tank Lawrence has just helped accentuate everything now. And he's just showing every game he plays, like, why he's so highly regarded and why we went after him. Yeah, I
he's
think
a catalyst.
Yeah, big time. And it's when an O-line has got to account for Tank, Byron Murphy, you know, that you got Big Cat, and then you look at the edges who actually combined for a sack yesterday as well. But I think it might have just gone to Hall, didn't it? You know, when you look at that is just a recipe for disaster for O-lines. So yeah, it's a great one. I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit, because JSN has now broken the Seahawks single-season receiving yard record in week 12, our 11th game of the season, and he has surpassed DK Metcalf. So he now has 1,313 yards, which is, quite frankly, ridiculous at this point in the season. And I'm pretty sure, I'm just having a look through the comments, because I am pretty sure that there was a stat up here. It might have been Jonas that put it in there. But yeah, he's just been exceptional. I don't want to give him too many superlatives, because everyone else seems to. Here we go. JSN needs 137.5 yards per game if he wants to break 2,000 yards in 16 games. But he doesn't need 16 games. We've got 17 in the season now. But then there's always going to be that, well, he didn't do it the same amount of time as, I can't remember who is it Megatron, isn't it? Calvin Johnson, who's got the record at the moment. But still, the boy is he's electric, and he gets open when he shouldn't. I particularly liked it was the catch on the left sideline where he took that ball and even absorbing the contact was like walking backwards through the contact before he then went out of the field of play, which I thought was just effort and commitment, which is exactly what you want from a number one wide receiver. It was just brilliant. I mean, if anyone else has got any other highlights, pop them in the chat, and we will definitely be getting to them. But I really want to talk about our winners and losers, because it's very, very rare, Mitch, that you and I get to do our usual 3 winners and losers. And you've put in some names that I don't think we speak about very often. One of them, especially, he's appeared a couple of weeks. But yeah, do you want to kick us off with your first?
Yeah, I'm going to mention Oluwatimi. I think he didn't grade as our highest PFF grade on the O-line, and I know you can say what you like about PFF grading, and you can pick holes in that, to be honest, and I won't disagree with you. But he didn't rank the highest. But I think whenever you look at players coming in deputizing for the start of that season, I would always, especially on the O-line, you don't want to hear that person's name called. Do you know what I mean? If you have a quiet game and the commentators haven't mentioned you at all, especially as a center, you're doing a good job. And I think he's come in and Jalen Sundown was doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. I know they give you a different blend of skills and specializations, those two, and it's not a surprise to me that the run game's slightly more effective behind Oluwatimi than it is behind Sandell. But I think that this is a big win for Oluwatimi, that people are very comfortable with him being where he is. He's well respected in the locker room. He's a good leader on that O-line, and I'm just really pleased that he's able to come in and seamlessly take over.
Yeah, and we spoke about Oluwatimi on the last pod. He's coming in, he's taken over, he's showing why he's an award-winning centre, from a fantastic college program. I think it's now going to be very hard for Sundell when he comes back to displace him. And this is where it's going to get exciting for that O-line, sort of the battle for supremacy there. Obviously, Gray Zabel enjoyed playing next to his college roommate and his college teammate. But regardless of if they're a unit from the past, are you going to try and shoehorn Sundell back in to keep that unit together, or just going to leave it with Oluwatimi, who's playing really well? Or are we going to see Sundell maybe move to right guard and Bradford goes? Who knows? I'm going to cheat for my ones, because I've got 2 players. I want to do a 2-for-1, because I'm going to nickname these gentlemen the Bash Brothers. And anyone who's seen Mighty Ducks D2 will know what I'm on about. But the notes I wrote, without giving the name, this person is putting in hits, absolutely vaporized that player. Where was the other one? Oh, is a heat-seeking missile and folded like a deck chair was another one. Drake Thomas and Paddy O, I thought, deputized in the middle of that field fantastically. There was not a single player that came into their sights that did not get the smacketh laid down on them. And it was so good. I mean, you were high on sort of Patrick O'Connell sort of before the season anyway. And was it last season? Actually, you might have been high on him. And then we had O'Toole as well, didn't we? I just thought they were brilliant. There was so much to be said about not having Jones or Knight on the field to start. And I thought they did fantastic. Drake Thomas has just been an absolute revelation. There's a reason we wanted to keep him in the building. I mean, you look at sort of Drake Thomas, 10 total tackles, 6 solo, 1 TFL. Then you've got Paddy O'Connell, 9 total, 4 solo, 1 sack, 1 TFL, and a QB hit from your middle linebackers. that they led the team in tackling, and the tackles that they put in weren't shirt grabby, sort of, I'm just going to try and pull you down and stop you. They were laying the wood. And as many of our viewers and subscribers are as well, who adores hard-hitting defense, as most Seahawks fans do. When you look at the Legion of Boom, Can Chancellor era, that was so good to see. It was like there was total disregard for their own bodies or the bodies of their opponents. And they just hit people and didn't care who it was. There's some things to be said about some coverage gaffes. That's fine. It was their first time playing together, starting as a tandem. But I think overall the effort, the sheer force that they put into everything, it sort of goes hand in hand with what I've been saying about our secondary for a few years. I just want a secondary that people don't want to catch a ball near or run towards for fear of getting hit. And when you've got middle linebacker, and when you've got middle linebackers doing that, you can just imagine tight ends going, "You want me to run over the middle? Have you seen who's in the middle? Did you see what he did to the last guy?" That's exactly what I want, and that's what happened yesterday. They were all over the place, just putting in big hits. So yeah, sorry, I had to put a 2 for 1 in there because I thought though they just needed a shout out. They were absolutely superb.
Yeah, they were brilliant. My next is another person who was laying the smack down, and that was Byron Murphy. I think he's now up to 6 sacks on the season, so could very well have his first double-digit sack season. I think that sack he had on Cam Ward in the second half was it 12-yard loss?
12-yard loss. That was the one off the spoon.
It was,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think he's really come of age this year. That the positions and situations we put him into have been a better match for his skill set, and I really think you're starting to see the player that we saw at the Longhorns, the season before we drafted him. There's a seriously impactful, powerful player there, and what a great time to have that come to fruition, because Leonard Williams isn't going to be there forever. Jaron Reed isn't going to be there forever. Well, here is heir apparent for me. It's great to see these big impactful plays from him.
Yeah, because you've got, I think him and Williams are now both on 6 sacks each, aren't they, for the season?
Great return.
Yeah. For interior D lineman, fantastic. That's exactly what you want to see. And I think you've just seen his maturity arc it's carried on going since last season. Last season he was quiet, but I think this season he's really taken on board what his job is. He's really taken on board the fact that he doesn't have to win every time. He's there to help his colleagues within the O line or D line just get those sacks as well. He's really showing this maturity. Becoming a dad does that for you. So fair play to the man. Yeah. My third and final winner, and I spoke about Cam Ward earlier, and I mentioned this guy's name. It's not a Seahawk, but I can appreciate game. Xavier Restrepo, who was undrafted, I believe, out of Miami, even though he is Miami's all-time receiving yards leader. Cam Ward pounded the table to have him come in on the practice squad. He was then cut, brought back on the practice squad, and he's eventually been elevated. And I thought yesterday, as soon as he came on, he was fantastic. 2 receptions, 26 yards. I don't think that does him justice, because as soon as he came on, you could just see how him and Cam Ward had such a cohesive sort of play together from college, where Cam knew all he had to do was extend plays and Restrepo would find how to get open. I think it was his second reception. That might have been his first reception, actually, because his second was nearly a touchdown, wasn't it? Where he breaks in, he breaks out, and this sort of developed over a good 5 or 6 seconds, where Cameron had to roll out of the pocket. And then as he realised that he had defenders just converging on his position, he just broke back into the centre of the field again and got the reception from Cam, who threw it from the boundary. I thought he was brilliant. And I know we're not a Titans pod, but I don't really care because I have to shout that out. If that man now has not earned the right to be dressed every game day as that release valve from the slot or wherever they need him to play, I think the Titans need the heads checking.
Yeah, I remember the first time I mentioned Restrepo on this pod, and it was the same day that I first mentioned Torrey Horton.
Yeah.
And I was trying to give you 3 wide receiver options as potential Tyler Lockett
rounders, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it was mid to late rounders, and I said that Torrey Horton would be my first choice, but he would be around second round, and obviously the injury that he suffered after we'd had done that pod meant that he ended up dropping right down people's draft boards. But so we got a real steal there. But Xavier Restrepo was a player that I really liked the look of because he has that knack of just finding soft spots in coverage, and he really is quite a talented wide receiver. I know that some players think there's a few knocks. A few teams had a few reasons that they didn't like him for the next level, but he really does have great instincts for getting open.
Yeah, I understand when you are a professional football player, especially a wide receiver, your job is to run routes. Depending on how militant your offensive coordinator is, you run this route, that's it. Your timing needs to be spot on. But sometimes a quarterback just needs a friendly wide receiver who will get open. If that quarterback is surveying his reads and he's going covered, but they're still moving, let me extend this for another 2 seconds and see what happens. If you've got someone like Restrepo who just goes, I'm just going to find an open space. If he hits me amazing. If not, there's no real change. And that's exactly what the Titans got yesterday. And even the Seahawks, our defense was watching him, and we clocked the route he was going on. Nothing there. So he changed his route, nothing there. It was the third move where we'd all sort of converged and we were all setting our defensive spacing. And he went, there's a soft spot here, I'm just going to go there. Third time lucky, bosh, in. Hands up. Very, very impressed with that. I think at one point I even went like this. I was watching it on TV because it was just so nice to see. I love a bit of ad-libbing.
Yeah, good. I think you're right. It was a lovely thing to see because, like you say, someone going undrafted or being even as a late draft pick, if you were expected to go higher, it is great to see them make their way through the ranks and get on the field and then have an impact when they get there. So, yes, good story that one. I think for the game for the Titans. Yeah. My final winner is going to be Cam Walker. I think, for someone that has been in first or second gear for the whole season, I think this was, it's a great situation for him, being up in the first half, committing to the run in the second half, him amassing over 100 yards from scrimmage. Just what we asked him to do is exactly what he gave us, and I feel like there was a lot less. I know there was still some, but I think there was a lot less second guessing and again ad-libbing really here again from him. He seemed a little bit more decisive and a bit more sure of himself, which let's face it, we're going to get to the playoffs. How deep we go in the playoffs is going to depend on a number of factors, and the run game getting hot is going to be the kind of thing that really adds just the extra dimension to what our team's currently putting out there. So I like that we spent the half trying to get Ken Walker going. I like that he embraced that. He had a reception that went for 26 or 27, and he bookended that with a couple of nice runs. I think one was an 8, one was a 6. It was just really effective from him.
Yeah, I mean, 11 carries for 71 yards. 6.5 yards per carry, still no touchdown. His longest run was 19. And I mean, Ken Walker's been much maligned on our pod, mainly by me, and I will hold my hands up and say that. But I actually saw something yesterday that made me go, maybe he could work. And I think a lot of that was down to, like I said, there was a few little ad-lib bits where he did a Ken Walker. But then when he was decisive in his cuts and decisive in sort of the angles or the gaps he was going to take, he looked good.
Yeah, he did.
I'm starting to think, is it just a confidence thing for him?
I think sometimes you need to know. You need to know like what your role actually is, and I think that second half made it quite straightforward for him. It was, we're not going to throw the ball anywhere near as much in this half. We've got the lead. We're going to commit to running the ball. You are going to get, the odd series here and there. Charbonnet is going to get the odd series. When you are out there, we are going to be committing to getting the ball into your hands, and that was consistent. That was a consistent message with targeting in the passing game and with handing the ball off to him. So I think that kind of makes your life a little easier when, right, the second half I'm going to get a lot of the ball. Yeah. What do I need to do? Well, let's make sure I get an average of about 4 yards. It doesn't all have to be 20, 30 yards ripped off. Let's just make sure we fall forward, hit whatever is given to us decisively. And it was just really sort of intentional and purposeful.
I mean, the thing is, he didn't get, like, when you look at it, the run game, we only had 20 rushing attempts, which obviously, I need to double check again about the time and possession, but in the second half with the run game, just letting the clock sort of disappear on us. That's basically what you just did there, was how I felt for the second half, mate.
But anyone listening rather than watching, I have just yawned, and I'm also looking quite exhausted.
You are. I guess it's going to get worse, mate. We wait till that baby gets here. I'll wait for the text messages from you at like 3 a.m. going, "Oh, Josh, you were right." Like, yeah.
Why didn't you stop me?
Couldn't be there physically too. But yeah, I mean, we had a nice comment here as well coming from Paul Craig 4751. Coach Mike seems to see K9 as his main back. About time, in my opinion. And there's no denying K9 has the talent to be an RB1 in this league. What's held him back is injuries and indecisiveness. He's got the speed. He's got the power. I still don't like him as an A or B gap runner, but he'll do in a pinch. But he's just been so indecisive, so injury prone. That's really held him back, and I think that's what's dented his confidence. But if Mike likes him that way, fine. Hopefully, when it comes to contract extension, he doesn't start asking for a load of money.
Well, I think there's two things that have gone really well for Ken this year. I know this statistically won't be his best year for touchdowns. It almost certainly won't be his best year for yards. But actually, I think there's a couple of things that have really gone in his favour. And I think when you look back at his best seasons or his most electric seasons in terms of highlights and everything else and memorable plays, when you go back to those seasons, he was probably the only player or one of 2 or 3 players on our roster you could have called blue chip players. He was a clear standout. When you're game planning for the Seahawks, Ken Walker was very high on on people's list as players you had to stop, right? Well, our team's now planning for Ken, or are they planning for JSN, or are they talking about our pass rush and the constant pressure, or are they talking about our DBs, or are they, Ken Walker is not the main concern anymore. He's not, yeah. And I think that works in his favor. When you look at his best seasons, it wasn't necessarily the ones when Charbonnet was there either. So on his best seasons, he was game planned for, and he was toting the rock a lot more carries. So he was at higher risk of injuries, and teams were very much focusing on stopping him. Neither of those two things are true anymore. He's not relied upon to carry the rock as much, and teams are not not focusing as much on him within their game plans. That now means he can be kind of a sleeper agent within this roster, and as long as he fits the scheme and he's decisive with what he's doing, he can just accumulate enough yards to really hammer us into advantageous positions.
Yeah, I think the carry share with Charbonnet has really benefited him this year as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think, and Charbonnet yesterday proved that he wasn't just a goal line hammer. He took that TD on the outside zone really well. That was a fantastic run, and I think having those as like a 1A, 1B really works, because it becomes a pick your poison then. And I hope that Ken now appreciates the fact that having Charbonnet there isn't like this guy's taking your job. It's more this guy's going to help you do your job to the best of your ability.
Well, let's face it. If Ken was healthier and consistent, then would we have spent a second round pick on another running back? I would err with no. But neither of those two things were true. He was injury prone, and on his return to the team from injury, it often took him a few games to get up to speed again. So there was clearly a need to expose him less. So if you do get to the playoffs, you've still got your star weapon, and to share that with someone else, so that you can be fresher every time the ball's put in your hands. So, I just think that Ken's really benefiting from that now.
Shall we get to our losers? In fact, before we get to our losers, I just very quickly like to shout out a bunch of people that aren't losers. And if you don't want to be a loser, you can be a UK Seahawker too. We're the UK Seahawkers official podcast. Very proud still. If you do want to join the UK Seahawkers, it's £12 for individual membership, £20 for a family of up to 4 in the UK. If you're outside the UK, it's £5 postage per individual, because you get a load of goodies, as well as 10% discount at the Pro Shop. You can be eligible for game day field passes. You get access to members-only competitions and our annual meet and greets. This year, we got these. We got our 21-year anniversary patch, our wristband as well to say you are a member, which you can flash around to all your friends or the losers that support the other teams. We got some awesome coasters, and you get your membership card. And then you can come to the next meetup to meet us and some of these fan folk. Absolutely amazing meetup in Glasgow. Waiting to hear about what the next meetup's going to be, because I will be there with bells on. Hopefully not as far as Glasgow though, because that was a trek.
Heard a little rumor it was up north, but not as far north as last time. But...
Yeah, no, it's a different country. That.
Yeah.
I can do with the north. Is where I'm from. Go back to the motherland. But yeah, so shall we talk about some losers within the game?
Sure.
Would you like me to start on this one?
Yeah, shoot.
I am going to pick I'll be honest, I only really had one loser. And I am going to start with the Nepo hire himself. And this was, I was clutching a bit here because there wasn't a lot I could pick wrong, but Jay Harbaugh, purely for that punt return touchdown. And I don't know if it was a coaching issue or it was the players just converging on the ball issue. But there should not have been, the punt return team should not have been so heavily weighted to the right to allow the Titans play. Was it DK? Spelled Dyke, but I think it's DK. He just had all of the right side of the field open. There was one player out there, which it wasn't Jared Ivey. The name will come to me. But he was literally being waved over by his player. Say, just run over here. There's no one here. I've got you if anyone comes over. And because all of that sort of that punt return, the punt team had gone over to that side.
It was Jamie Sheriff.
There we go. Jamie Sheriff. Thank you very much. But yeah, because everyone had gone over to that side, it left Jamie Sheriff on an island by himself. So all it took was someone with DK speed to round everyone off and just go. Now, I'm sorry, Jay Harbaugh, I had to pin this on you as the coach. because I didn't want to name the whole of the punt team. But that is just a coaching point where I think after that, Harbaugh's going to go, look, guys, I know we get excited for our special teams. I know you want to put in a big hit. I know you want to stop it where it is. But that proves that you need to guard the rest of the field. Because all it would have taken was maybe another 2 players out there, and that would not have been a touchdown. So there you go. That was my very tenuous loser.
Nice.
So that's the first time I've given Jay Harbaugh a loser for a while.
Yeah, he's had a week off. Yeah, I can't disagree. I can't disagree with it. There's a few warts and things on special teams. I know our special teams unit is ranked very highly this season, but there are some things that just seem like bad fundamentals. But yeah,
there's a couple of comments that have come in.
Yeah. Okay.
So Yannick, before the punt return, said in the watch party, they should fake the punt. It would have been a better outcome. It would have. And then we've got Smoke Burp. This burp really came out of my mouth then. Smoke Burp. We lost Chaz Surratt before that punt too. And just very, very quickly, no, I don't have anything to say about Tariq Woolen this week, because I didn't really watch him. I was watching everyone else instead. I'm trying to shift my focus, you see.
But he had a 29 tackle grade on PFF this week. Sure. I mean, that's a low grade.
I know.
I'm not sticking up.
I'm not giving people the pleasure of hearing me rant about Tariq Woolen for another week. And Michael Vath, please don't worry that you're late. We're just happy that you've joined us. And just very quickly, whilst I remember, if you are late in joining us, or you just want to join in at all, you can like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. We're a self-funded promotion, so everything that we put in here comes from me and Mitch. So all of your likes, your subscriptions really help boost up the algorithm. We reach more 12s, and then that will help us in the long run. But if you do want to help us in any other way, there's a link down there to buy me or Mitch a coffee or a beer, which would be greatly appreciated, especially with Mitch with a baby on the way. You'll be drinking lots of coffee. And with me, with a soon-to-be and me with a soon-to-be 6-year-old, I'm drinking lots of beer to try and get through it.
Solid.
Right, there you go. That's you got all that to look forward to. Anyway, who was your loser?
Darnold. And this is, I know some people will be like, "Oh, give the man a break. He had a bad week last week," and whatever. I just think red zone Darnold for the last few weeks has been a little bit worrying. It's quite a lot of incomplete passes when we get up there, and when you look at the touchdowns we scored in this game, they were one deep shot and a run as well for Charbonnet.
Yeah.
I don't think we converted any. We didn't really get any. We didn't score any touchdowns from red zone throws, and I don't know that perhaps there's a niggling kind of thought there when throwing in the red zone that he doesn't want to force the ball into a situation where it gets picked. Maybe the 4 interceptions of last week are hanging over him a little bit.
A bit of PTSD from that.
Well, yeah, or possibly from the year before in the playoffs against the Rams, maybe. But yeah, I just felt like the Titans game after that Rams game felt like the perfect opportunity for him to go, well, there's four touchdowns, 350 yards. I've absolutely pulled out again.
Yeah.
Get back to what he'd done this year. We didn't really see that, but there could be an element of, the plays not getting called to showcase that. And it could well be that he's just making it so that if our player can't catch the ball, no one can, protecting that ball a little bit.
There were a few occasions where he dirted it, which I was so happy about.
Yeah.
Because the week before, he would have really tried that. He would have tried for it and got an interception. There was
corrected by Hawkskull. There was a touchdown for 13 yards to JSN.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually, And actually, saying that, there could have been a second one for JSN, but he got shunted out of the back of the end zone, didn't he? He didn't get his feet down. So,
well, there was that would be his third because he had 2 touchdowns, didn't he? He had the 63-yard bomb, and then there was the drive where it was the long, because it was 80 yards in total. There was a long pass to JSN, then there was the canine run, and then there was the pass to JSN for the touchdown. I was writing notes. That's what happens when I'm not in the watch party. I actually get to write notes.
Yeah, I was just having a good time.
I think that's what I wrote. The notes I wrote on Darnold, there was the one pass to Barner, which came off his chest, didn't it? And that bobbled up horrendously. I just thought, oh no, don't give an interception off that because it's not really his fault. And then there was the pass that he threw, it was nearly interception because he had Simmons just in his face and he just lobbed up a horrible wobbly ball, and he was so lucky that no one got underneath that.
Yeah.
That was sort of panic mode. But they were the only 2 real concerns I had. I like the fact he did dirt it a couple of times. Wasn't a fan of the fact that he only had something like 30 more yards than Shador Sanders. But
yeah. He's a starter now, Shador Sanders. We're going to see a lot more of that circus.
Well, it can't get any worse, can it?
No, quite right. Look at that. Like a sleep influences memory. Thank you. Look at that. You guys are too nice.
Cheers,
You're letting me get away with too much.
We had a week off, mate, after being ill, and we're both tired now. So we'll get back into this properly, and we've got obviously a pod next week. This week we were going to have Neil Elliott from 5 Star Imports on, but unfortunately Neil had his working nights tonight, so he couldn't come on. So we're going to get him on as well, because absolute guy, offers a fantastic service, and he's a Seahawks fan, which is always good. Did you have any more losers for the game?
No, not really. I mean, I feel like everyone performed pretty well in the circumstances, and I think any real drop-offs probably came from play calling and protecting the game and protecting the ball. So not particularly.
No, I'll give you that. We'll keep it nice. I'm going to put myself back in my box for downplaying how the fact that we won. I said I just wanted to see more. I just want to see us. I really want that game where we put foot to throat and the game is over. I mean, obviously we've had it. Saints, Cardinals, Commanders. I want more. I'm getting greedy for it now. It's rare we get this as a Seahawks fan. So with that, I think it's time we get to people's questions and comments. So I know you've been starring the comments and whatnot as we've been going through, haven't you?
There's been a few, yeah.
One thing that we always like to do, if you are new to the channel, as a community podcast, so you can either join the Discord, and we'll try bring back Discord member musings very soon. So you can join the Discord. It's completely free. The link is down there in the pod description thing. That will take you straight to the Discord. We can talk to us and Seahawks fans from all over the world, and it's just a great time. A really nice community in there, which we're very, very proud of. And the king of the Discord, Mitch, monitors it all. And we do try and do the Discord member musings where you guys get to ask questions before anyone else in the comments. So, Mitch, what comments have you got for us, sir?
Well, some of these we've thrown up as we got along, but this one I really liked. So it was JSN said after the game that he has better ball tracking skills than the DBs, and he can feel them tensing up when he gets them one-on-one. I can very well believe it. I think there's probably 5 DBs in the league that would actually relish the challenge of facing JSN and not see it as a damage preservation kind of exercise.
And he's going to get one of those in a couple of games, isn't he? Sauce Gardner. He's now at the Colts.
The Colts, yeah, true.
That'll be a heck of a matchup to watch. That's one to be in the watch party for.
I don't think we showed this comment. Let's pull this up. So Jonas in here with Drake Thomas ranked second in the NFL in TFLs and 5 in passes defensed amongst interior linebackers, despite not getting the starter snaps until week 6. He has at least 1 TFL in every game he started. Yeah, it really does feel like every time he plays, there's a sack or a TFL, or there's always like a huge bunch of moments. It's just box office, isn't he? I think. Just seems to find an
absolute rocket of an inside linebacker. He just gets in and around the ball, and if he's not there to try and get the PBU, he's there to try and hit someone, which is all you need from that man. I think we're using him really well as well. He's not the biggest linebacker. He's very much in the Cody Barton mold where he could have been a safety, but we're using him very intelligently for his size and his speed. Drake is so quick; it's awesome. Yeah.
He really is. The short area quickness is such a thing. You don't need that straight line speed necessarily. You don't need to be overly twitchy. Excuse me. If your instincts are sound and you've got a quick get off, sometimes you can still absolutely light people up, and he does it repeatedly.
He just melts people.
Impressive.
Every game, it's literally just a melt after a melt after a melt, and I love it. And it's what I love more is that he's a form tackler as well. He doesn't try and tackle someone like a spider monkey or head first. It's very much ear to shoulder, drive your shoulder through someone, and I love to see it.
Yep. Well,
what else we got?
I think a lot of these we've already pulled up. Don't have quite as many as we usually do. I will pull up this actually. I think this is quite fun. I mentioned that we talked about Restrepo and Torrey Horton in the list of receivers I'd given in the draft that were potential Lockett replacements. It's really interesting to see Seahawks fans enjoying the performance of Restrepo against us and comments like this, because I really did think that Restrepo would be a nice Tyler Lockett stand-in. So yeah, no, I completely agree with that comment, Hawkskull.
And then Gary put this up as well, saying Tank and Cup have been great veteran additions, and not just for their on-field play, but also for what they bring off the field. And that's something that it's been echoed throughout the whole of the coaching staff, hasn't it? Yeah. Where they've all said that Cooper Cup has been fantastic for this wide receiving room, just purely down to the fact like when he's in there, everyone's listening. He's the coach on the sideline. You saw it when he was injured. He was guiding that young wide receiving core through the game and sort of giving the benefit of what he sees. And then Tank, obviously, you're just seeing that everything that he's bringing to that D-line. It's just fantastic. If he can now bestow some of his how you get a sack magic onto Derek Hall, that'd be brilliant. Because Derek Hall has been at the forefront of so much edge pressure, but he just isn't getting home. And it pains me because I absolutely love D Hall.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to. It makes him a lot easier to extend when he hasn't got the sack numbers, and he creates the pressure and keeps contained. It's allowing other people to feast every week, really, and he's credited with a huge amount of sacks. Huge amount of pressures, to the extent that he's actually one of PFF's top edge rushers, but. Yeah. There's not the traditional stats to go alongside it. It's all new gen stats and things that say, oh, well, actually, he's doing a really good job and he's influencing the game, and he is.
And he was captain this week as well. And we've got a couple that have just come in from Chris Rood. I'm going to assume he's talking about Drake Thomas here. Drake Thomas reminds me a lot of David the Heater Hawthorne. And then you've got Big Cat and Murphy, an extremely entertaining duo. Nearly every play, one of them will be making a difference in the backfield. That's all we can ask for at the moment. I think that is kind of Mike's bread and butter. That's exactly what he wants, and that's exactly what we're getting. But with that, Mitch, I think we're done for another week. It's been awesome being back on with you. We'll be back next week with a guest with us. It's just been nice to have just me and you. We don't get to do this very often.
No, it's nice.
You know, It's like when a throuple gets rid of one of the people, so two of the others can actually have a chat. Not saying that we're a throuple, but just for everyone on the internet.
Careful.
And that's how rumours get spread. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, by all means, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you can do us a favour, just hit that thumbs up button there. It turns into a football, in case you didn't know. You can share this episode. It'll be available on all your audio platforms very, very soon. And you can find us all over social media at 12 Talk Pod on Instagram, TikTok. We've got a Facebook page and X as well. And as I said before, you can join our Discord for completely free. If you're lucky, Mitch may pop that link in the comments, and you can come and join us there. And we are there pretty much every single day. We're talking Seahawks. That's in and out of the season. But Mitch, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to absolutely everyone that's joined us. And you know, we get an easy sign off this time because there's only two of us.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Let's check. Right. So on me, let's have a big go, Hawks. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Hawks. See you next week, everyone.